Greetings. Hello, everyone, and happy holidays. My name is Lainey Rose, and I'm the events manager here at East City Bookshop. It is wonderful to be with you all today. Thanks so much for being here in person and for tuning into our live stream if you're watching that way. We always have something on the calendar here, and later this month, we'll be hosting Aman Haririkia for her first romance novel, Female Fantasy. And not long after that, we'll be hosting Susan Lee for her latest romance, Julia's Song is Undateable. All the information about our upcoming events and our 14 different book clubs can be found on our website. I think we have a few book club members here as well. Yep, we've got a romance book club, we've got a queer book club, we've got so many fun things in our store. Before we get to tonight's event, some housekeeping details. Number one, if you could take a moment to silence your cell phones, we would appreciate it. Number two, if you need a restroom, it's upstairs past the cash registers and the greeting cards. Number three, we will have time for questions tonight for both in-person and virtual attendees. So even if you're watching via Zoom, you can participate. Please put those questions in the Q&A feature so that we can see them and can ask on your behalf. And finally, most importantly, if you still need to purchase a copy of tonight's book, we have copies available upstairs at the register, and we would be happy to help you out with that. All those copies are, and all the backlists as well, are upstairs and can be purchased prior to the signing line. Now, for tonight's event. Tim is a dear friend of mine and of the store, and it is always a joy to host him in the shop. With his charm, wit, and Christmas cheer, Tim's novels are always a whimsical romp into a world I want to wrap myself into. And his latest, A Mannequin for Christmas, is no different. Henry Astor is facing another family Christmas alone, and he makes a wish for the perfect man. The next morning, he finds one of his male display mannequins in his vintage shop has sprung to life. The Magic Man is gorgeous, of course, but he comes with a Cinderella-style caveat. If he doesn't experience true human love before the midnight chime on New Year's Eve, he will turn back into a mannequin for good. Our author of the evening is Timothy Janovsky, who is a queer, multidisciplinary storyteller. He is the USA Today bestselling author of The Merriest Misters and many more award-winning titles. He is an inaugural author for Harlequin's new inclusive spicy romance line, Afterglow Books. And joining us in conversation tonight is Sara Raasch, the New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of the witty, tantalizing, sexy adult romances, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and Go Luck Yourself. Her books have been featured in People, NPR, US Weekly, Elle, Vulture, and more. So please join me in welcoming our authors of the evening. That's your cue.
Hey. Wait.
Hello? Come on. Okay. Oh, I have the
Fabulous.
worst luck with microphones. Oh my God. Oh, hi, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out. Oh, wait, no, I forgot my thing.
I love it.
Christmas, bitches.
Oh my goodness.
Well, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for letting me come down and celebrate Christmas with you.
Oh my gosh, yes. October 1st is the perfect time to celebrate Christmas. It's basically Christmas Eve today.
Basically Christmas Eve, right?
Everything else in between doesn't count.
Yeah, Halloween, Thanksgiving.
I'm so sorry. I am a fan of Halloween. I feel like people assume because I write Christmas books a lot that I don't like Halloween or Thanksgiving. I'm like, no, I like them.
Dude, you can
Exactly. I can like all the holidays.
all the holidays.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we did the introductions already, so I don't have to recap everything. But should just dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I have a game that we're going to play. If you want to, participation is not mandatory. So instead of like going through questions and like diving into what the book is about, the game will explain what the book is about and give us these like little going off points to talk about. So let me get my stuff all pulled up here.
It's interactive.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. So it's basically a mannequin themed white elephant gift exchange. So you all should have brought presents.
For me.
Yes, just for Tim.
No, just kidding.
No. Okay. So if you want to participate, you do not have to. I have 9 different items. So again, you don't have to participate. If you want to participate too, you can.
So
who would like to be our first little gift? Okay, we got one right here. Okay.
Yes.
A present that you'll open, but attached to the present is a little line from the book that you have to read first and then open the present, and the present corresponds to the line of the book, and then we will discuss the topic that is of that's.
And the person gets to keep the gift? That's it, Anika. Here we go. Okay.
I am not on deadline right now. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So line number one. Okay.
Did you have salmon in the tiny refrigerator at the store? I liked everything in there except the mushy yellow brick, I said. You mean butter. Butter goes on things or in things, but is not meant to be the thing, if that makes sense. But no, there was no fish in the fridge. And wow, you really were just a mannequin who sprang to life, huh?
Okay. Then you
Let's
give
hear it for
yes.
Anika. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, does the gift
The
go with it?
themes with it.
Oh, it's butter. Oh,
Thank you.
excellent.
This item goes with one of our two main characters, Aiden.
Yeah.
So explain the don't explain the butter necessarily.
Sure.
Aiden.
Yeah. Okay, so Aiden is our mannequin turned man in the world of the story. So Henry manages a vintage store on the Jersey Shore that is called Isla's Attic. It was opened by his great aunt, and it was the place he went after school because he was not athletically competent. And so he didn't want to join a club or anything. He wanted to go and make window displays in his aunt's store. And so Aiden is actually a remnant from a going out of business sale at a department store at a local mall that his aunt found him orphaned and said he will come home with us, he is now ours. And he has become like the main character of Henry's window displays. And so when Henry decides he's gonna throw caution to the wind and make a wish on magic hour for the perfect man, Aiden springs to life. And Aiden is basically, how I describe him is he is Pinocchio meets the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, meets Ted from Schitt's Creek, meets like the Pygmalion myth. So that's kind of like he's kind of all of those. Oh, he's also Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Yeah. And he's kind of all of those things thrown into a blender because he has this like immediate curiosity about the world. He describes himself as an iPhone with apps waiting to be downloaded. So he like has all the functions of a human person, and little things in his surroundings trigger him to think about those. So, for instance, he is aware that he needs to eat food to be a functioning human being. He is not aware which foods we should and should not eat, which is how he does end up biting into an entire stick of butter.
Among Us is not wanted to just do that, just to see what it would be like.
I don't know. I mean, I think that sounds really gross. And now I'm really stuck on that. No, I am, as soon as he springs to life, part of his thing is that he starts exploring the store because he realizes he's locked in, and he Googles very simply how to be a human. And he finds a list online, which is basically like a wiki how that has a series of very rudimentary steps of how to be human. And he takes them all very literally, which is when he learns about a refrigerator and what a glass is, and that we should put water in it and we shouldn't just drink out of the tap. It's a whole thing. He has a very long arc over his food consumption.
Reminds me of in elementary school when they like write the instructions of how to make a peanut butter sandwich, and the teacher would do it literally. So you had to be like remove bread, like every step had to be taken out, or like the teacher wouldn't do it properly. But reminds me of Aiden of like you just skip all the steps and rub the peanut butter on the plate or like something ridiculous.
Oh, totally. And one of my favorite lines in the book, I usually am a little bit too embarrassed to listen to the audiobook version of the things that I write, but I really love this book. And like, it's one of my favorite things that I've ever written. And I really like the actors that they hired. And so I really wanted to listen to it. And one of my favorite lines in the book is that on the first morning after Aiden is newly humanified, because he's not personified, he's humanified, he's a human now. um Henry comes out of his bedroom and Aiden's like, I made breakfast. And he's like, he says it, like a white boomer mom says pico de gallo at a restaurant, like he thinks everything is just like the coolest thing ever. And that was like really fun to write.
It's nice having a character that likes things. I feel like so many times characters are like they're sullen or like they're broody, but it's nice having a character that just finds joy in butter, like it's like simple things that you're like. I think catches Henry off guard too, to like have to see the world through somebody who just finds everything fascinating.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I also think that like, especially right now, there is a tendency to like err on the side of pessimism. And so I'm like, I wrote this book over like a year and a half ago, and thinking about it now, I feel like this is the perfect time for it to be out because it has this um it kind of has this underlying message of like Henry at first is like, oh, I don't want anything to do with this. This is not what I meant. And so he's like basically trying to convince Aiden, like, you don't want to be human. Like, you have to pay taxes and you have to do laundry and you could get trapped in a burning building. Like, do you want to get trapped in a burning building? And he's like, no, but I like this. I like breathing and feeling and walking in the sunshine. And it's like, those are all things that we kind of just take for granted. And I think, like, or at least I hope that it's like a reminder that these small things can still evoke joy if we kind of look towards the positive side. And yeah, he was a good reminder of that because I don't find myself being a super, like, I don't consider myself a pessimist or an optimist. But I think if I were to kind of categorize myself, I kind of err on the side of pessimism. And so writing a character like that was also like a challenge for me to be like, oh, this is maybe also a really good reminder for myself to kind of look at things through those rose-colored glasses sometimes because like they look cute and that's like a good way to kind of change your perspective.
Makes it more fun as an author too to have characters that challenge you and push you to question your own.
No, totally. And I thought it was funny when I was like when I decided I wanted to write this book, I pitched it to my editor. She was like, "Oh, that's great." And I said, "I also want to write from the perspective of the mannequin." And she went, "Okay." Because I was like, the one thing that I like always try to do every time I approach a new book is like I always like pick a bunch of pieces of media that were like really important to me when I was young. And so like I loved like Life Size. I was a kid who played with Barbie dolls. Like I
So obsessed with toys coming to life, like that whole like concept. Yes. Oh my god.
Toy Story, all of that. I mean, oh my gosh. And like it's weird to say that like I had actually never seen the entire movie Mannequin until I had written a whole draft of the book because I didn't want to be like unduly influenced by it, but it was just kind of funny to me because I was like I had seen bits of it on TV, of course. I mean, it's like it was everywhere for a long time. And so it's also surprisingly like forward thinking, like surprisingly. Oh, yes. I mean, like the main character's best friend is queer and black. They like waterboard the police in that movie. Like it is bananas. Oh yeah, well, because they're like, I don't know if they think he's like robbing the place or they think the mannequin's robbing them. I don't even know. But they don't like the magic that's going on, and they're like, you're not getting the mannequin, and then they just waterboard him. Which is just a great solution, I suppose. But yeah, I like kind of put together all these little inspiration points and I I always like to think, okay, how can I make this queer? And what about it really excites me? And the first thing that came to mind was like,
Recording.
there is no waterboarding in the book. I'm so sorry.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert. I was like, the thing that excites me the most about writing this book is writing from the perspective of the mannequin. I was like, we don't get that in any of the versions, not from Life Size, not it's usually this human person being like, I don't know what's going on here. It's like, how do you think that mannequin feels? So I kind of was like, wow, I get to explore like this whole I dedicated the book to like just like the neurodivergent community because I am neurodivergent and I feel like there is this level of sometimes where I go out into an adult social situation where I'm like, why are things like this? Why do we do it this way? Why do we act that way? Why do we say things one thing when we mean another? Like what why is this all so complicated? And Aiden uh puzzles through all of that stuff on the page. Um and so while it's not, you know, Aiden is not neurodivergent, he's just newly human, but it was a good way for me to explore those things and kind of like normalize them for myself too.
Okay. So going off of Aiden, we have another present. Who wants the next present?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great shirt.
It's thematic.
It's thematic.
Golden hour descended across the vacant, frosty sand. Burnt orange and amber spiked out from the dipping sun like tangents in a geometry problem I couldn't deign to solve. How would I capture this on canvas?
No, I'm sorry. Some of them are not very long. Some of them are long.
Everybody should have warmed up their voices
some
before they came.
Tea, some honey. It's a
pizza.
So this one goes with Henry, who is our other main character.
Yeah, so this is fun. I was gonna say that so Henry is the main human character, and he's been running Isla's Attic for a very long time, but his passion in life has always been being an artist, and he went to college to study studio art, and he wanted to become an assemblage artist because what he really admired about what his aunt did was she went out to flea markets and garage sales and estate sales, and she built the merchandise of this store, this world, this like little subculture in this suburban town in New Jersey, around the found pieces that she was kind of preserving. And so what he loves is taking like beach trash and old objects in one instance from past relationships that like he needs to kind of exercise, like he puts them all into the art pieces. But he's kind of stopped when we meet him at the beginning of the book. He's kind of given up on that because he's kind of burnt out from running a business, and kind of burnt out from being burnt by men generally. Like, just that, I mean, he's got a lot of learning to do himself. So he's got his own red flags that, when you read the book, you'll learn more about. But he basically needs to kind of enter into this magical situation with Aiden to re-find his inspiration. I think there's this level of like, the world possesses like infinite touchstones of inspiration, but if we kind of sit with our pessimism, or we're just a little bit too internal, we lose sight of just the everyday things that spark joy and creativity and bring life. And I think there's that moment where he is on the beach about to make his wish, but there is a scene later, without spoiling anything, where he sits with Aiden and watches the sunrise, and it's the first time again where he's like, oh wait, this is the thing I could have been doing every single day. I could have been embracing life, waking up every morning, watching this beautiful occurrence. And what do? Like, I schlep out of bed, I make myself a coffee. Oh, and I did forget to mention, he lives above the vintage store, so he really doesn't get out very much. Like, he basically is just like, he's like a little gremlin up there, and then he's like a little gremlin downstairs, and that's just kind of his whole deal. And it's like in an old Victorian house too, so it's like he kind of feels like he's preserving his aunt's legacy, so he feels like he has to make this store a success. But in another way, he desperately wants to be a success to himself. And he feels, based on past experience, that he can't do that as an artist. But I give him, in the book, there's a journey for him to discover maybe where that spark went, and how can he reignite it.
Like Aiden's the perfect catalyst for him rediscovering that, because he is that like the epitome of joy and just appreciating things, and that's definitely what the balance, they balance each other very well.
Thanks. I like to describe them as like the golden retriever and the black cat. Like, they have that kind of vibe, which is ironic because Henry is like deeply allergic to cats, but he has one. And it's kind of like his own form of like self-flagellation. Like, every day is a Benadryl high for him. He's like, I can't even be in the house with this cat. And this cat, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I do love that in the advanced reader reviews that I got tagged in, they were like, that cat did a bad thing. And I love cats, but I will not forgive that cat. And I just find that hysterical because it's like, yeah, he did.
Turn on the cat.
I know.
That's a skill.
The cat he does a bad thing. The cat has two sides. The cat has the side that is always walking across the remote to turn on Hoda and Jenna, which, by the way, my copy editor was like, Hoda's actually no longer on the Today Show. And I said, well, in my mind, she is. She never left.
You don't know.
I said, Hoda's still there. Thank you. It's Hoda and Jenna, and Topher the cat is the president of Hoda and Jenna's fan club. And then there's this like devious side to Topher the cat, and it comes out later in the book. So he makes a little bit of a mess, but yeah, That'll be for readers to explore.
Very accurate for a cat, though, I feel like.
Oh yeah, to have two sides.
Yeah.
And I think that probably describes Henry in a way too. Like they were in a little bit of they were a mirror situation. They didn't know.
You start looking like your pets after a while. Like your personalities kind of jive. Like, yeah, it's a
Well, I
good
hope Henry
reflection of
never
yourself.
does what the cat did.
There has to be a line.
There has to be a
somewhere.
line somewhere, and yeah,
You come to realize it about yourself. You have to be able to compartmentalize. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to be better than my pet.
absolutely.
Yes.
I'm gonna be better than my pet.
Better than
I'm
my
gonna wake up
pet.
every day and say I'm gonna be better than my pet.
You know what? Sometimes we need like really achievable life goals. And if that is a really achievable life goal. Okay, we have the next little present. You would like, yeah. I tried to differentiate the wrapping.
Oh my gosh. They're so like folded.
I know. Sorry. I tried to
Why?
all up in my little Santa bag here.
There we go.
When living on her own was no longer an option I could allow, Great Aunt Isla sat me down and tucked her key ring into the front pocket of my button-up shirt. Take good care of our weird little place, okay, doll? I imagine she sounds like she's in like North Jersey or like New York.
Yes. So I know. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have taped them so much. Yeah.
My gosh.
It's a key ring. This one is for Aunt Isla.
Oh, I love her.
Yes.
You're right. She does kind of have an old New York. I think she's described in the book as she's watched way too much like Turner Classic Movies. So she kind of starts sounding like Greta Garbo, like she's doing a Greta Garbo impression. We meet her in the very first chapter. She's been, Henry had to make the difficult decision to bring her to kind of it's not assisted living, but it's like a place for elderly folk to like live in apartments and have community living and people on call with the push of a button if they need them, which means Henry becomes the sole manager of Isla's attic, and she's not going there against her will per se, but if she had a choice, she'd be anywhere else. And she treats the place like she's Regina George, like a little bit. She has the air of like, I have my table in the dining room. I have my own little area at bingo. Like she creates a kerfuffle in the middle of the book that is
Bingo kerfuffle.
a bingo kerfuffle incurs in the middle of the book that is completely her own doing. But yeah, so she is basically like Henry's closest family member. She is described as a fierce femme lesbian. She always has been. And she is just like a kind of a vivacious spirit who runs this store. And when Henry didn't show any athletic ability as a child and didn't want to join any clubs and was having a hard time making friends, she's the one that like drove up to the pickup lane in her, mint green Buick and like brought him to the store and encouraged him to make window displays because she saw that he was good at art. And she becomes kind of this parental figure to him in his coming out journey, in his journey to becoming an artist. And she is also the person who kind of instills in him positivity, because she is the one who takes him out to the beach one day and says, do you see the way the light is touching the ocean? Like in photography, we call this magic hour, because it's just this golden, glorious, and there's opportunity. And he says, well, is it real magic? And she says, well, I don't know. Why don't you make a wish and find out? And he's like 13-ish, I think, at the time. And he's too self-conscious because he just feels like he's like, the universe doesn't grant wait. Like I'm too old for that. Like, I don't do that. But then we meet him at 28 and he's kind of at the end of a couple ropes. And he says, well, I don't really have, what do I have to lose here? Why don't I just give it a shot? Yeah, and she just kind of ends up being this figure throughout the whole book and in kind of being the necessary words of wisdom that he needs while also being like a swift kick in the pants. She's like, I can't with your nonsense. Like she is the only one that is like, you're doing nonsense and I'm not going to allow it. Of course, she's also doing nonsense. She's like, yeah. She's like,
I say, not
yeah.
as I do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's like hogging the bocce ball court. She's like, absolutely no one else will be playing bocce ball today because I'm playing. Yeah, she's just kind of an effervescent spirit, and she was really fun to write for me because I think I most relate to grouchy old women. I think that's how I feel on the inside sometimes. And Henry has a line in the book where she basically says, like, you're gonna figure it out. Like, you have your whole life ahead of you. Everybody in this room would trade places with you. Like, they want to stop, they want to start, they want to make mistakes. Like, this is geriatric high school. Like, this is the end for us, but you have your whole life. And he's like, oh, but I just want someone to make my meals and schedule my activities. And I want to be pushed around and, and a little whatever. And she's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And so I think there's like a level of a foil there too, where she's looking back on all of the mistakes she's made and she sees him doing similar things. And he's looking forward, being like, she's the epitome. She's everything I want to be when I grow up. And we actually get to learn a lot about her over the course of the book. And he starts to realize that his like his putting her on a pedestal was maybe never where she was meant to be. Like she kind of helps disillusion him from that idea. And I think those are important lessons. And I wanted to include that in the book because I think sometimes like Christmas books, holiday books, we have a very like, it's like everybody's happy and it's family time and it's going to be great. But that's not the case for every family. And so I wanted there to be like this push and pull tension. And he relates to her mostly because everybody else in his family is partnered. And they have these like, he calls them like the When Harry Met Sally love stories. And he doesn't have it. And she's been single for for the entire time that he's known her, as far as he knows. And and he's like, well, she's fierce, she's independent, she doesn't need anybody. And he says, well, I can be like that. But I think the book talks a lot about that, like needing someone is not a weakness. Needing someone is being vulnerable and being open.
I love the Aiden and Isla kind of create like opposite ends of a spectrum of like Aiden's like very pure and innocent, like a blank slate, and then Isla's like a filled in slate. So you get like both sides of it for Henry, which creates that good like for him to bounce back and forth between them. So it creates a good diagram. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they like immediately take to each other, and Henry's like, I can't be the third wheel here. It's like, how dare you be friends in front of me? And Aiden's never played bingo, and Isla thinks that's like the coolest thing. She's like, we're gonna play bingo. Yeah, they just kind of take to each other, and I they have a sweet relationship too that builds over the course of the story. And it was kind of fun to write a family character that wasn't necessarily like a grandma or a mom or a stepfather. Like it was a character who feels both entrenched in the family but also a little outside of it, because Great Aunt Isla is Henry's grandmother's sister. So she feels a little bit outside the family unit. And that's kind of how he feels on the inside. So they kind of mirror each other in that way.
And for her gift, I tried to find a bingo card because I swear you can buy like bingo games at stores. Apparently not the stores I went to. They didn't have any bingo, which is a travesty that we do not have easy access to bingo anymore.
As of recent, my grandma has made it a Christmas tradition that we play bingo on Christmas, which I think she just likes rolling the thing and calling the numbers.
For a trip.
Yeah, it's the little. She's like, all right, we're playing. What's the one? It's blackout. We got to do the whole board. I'm like, we're gonna be here for hours. Everything's just an eye. It's like there can't be that many numbers in the eye.
I love that. Okay. All right. I need another volunteer, another victim. All right. I'm first. Yes. The Twilight shirt.
From my corpse book. Oh, I got a long one.
Sorry. I didn't think this through.
For a background, I painted a cityscape and then placed window facades in front of them to give the impression of a penthouse apartment in some glamorous city. In the foreground, I garbed my mannequins in mod-style vintage dresses in red and green. Each one held a martini glass up in a rousing toast. The theme was Cheers to Christmas.
Yes, go ahead. Go for it.
You did an excellent wrapping job, by the way.
Thank you. That's my worst
You
skill.
could be like a department store employee.
It's
Oh,
That was as close to a martini glass as I could find. I don't know what alcohol that's supposed to be.
it's like a spritz.
Is it Spritz?
I
Okay.
think so. I would say, or it's like maybe just like
It's
a
like a holiday
yeah, it's like a holiday
beverage.
cranberry
or something
Berry
with
something.
something fancy.
I love it though.
Some display. So the window displays.
Yeah.
Yeah, they feature very heavily.
They're
in the-
featured, yes, they're featured very heavily. And so we kind of, in the least creepy way possible, when Henry starts this window display tradition, he very much is trying to entertain himself. And one of the ways he does that is he builds the scene around him. And one of his like childhood hobbies was to like be an actor in the display where he would like go in and pretend. Did everybody else do that? Like when you went to the mall, like and you'd escape your mom and you'd run into the window and you'd just like, and you'd see if someone. So he like went at it with like 100 out of 100. He said like, I'm frosting the window. I'm like putting on the makeup. Like I'm doing the whole nine. And through that he like develops like a little crush on this inanimate mannequin and builds this whole story around like, oh, I'm gonna have this perfect romance where we like, he wears flannel and he wears Wrangler jeans and he carries the Christmas tree inside, and like on Christmas Day he's gonna ask me to marry him in front of his entire family. And of course he's imagining it's a real person, but he's doing it in this frame of the artistry. And then he steps out and then always replaces himself with a female mannequin, because he's not yet come into his own, and he's self-conscious and he's worried about what people will think or how he's going to tell his family. And from there, the window displays become this shared tradition between him and Isla. And she's basically just like co-pilot. She's like, whatever you want to do, like, I'll help you. But he does one basically for every season. And he just pours all of this artistic passion, all of this excitement about the world into the art, and then like hides himself away in real life, but he does it all in the window displays. And so when Aiden springs to life, Aiden is basically like, why is the store struggling? Everything in here is so cool. Like you could just sell more stuff. And he's like, yeah, okay, like, well, it's fine. That's whatever. And he says something along the lines of like, well, we do our best, when I unveil a new window display, because, it's something for people to see, something in the neighborhood for people to come to. And he's like, we'll just do more window displays. And he's like, okay, like NASA should just do more moon landings then. Like, that's fine. And Aiden's like, well, I'll help you. And that gives Henry this idea for what he like calls like the living window display, where he learns in the book that the magic, this is not a spoiler, the magic works that when the store is open, Aiden is a mannequin. And when the store is closed, Aiden is a person. And so during the day, he puts Aiden front and center in this Christmas tableau. And then he quickly closes the curtains, locks the door. Aiden does a quick change, and then he spins a platform, and there's a whole new scene on the other side. And then he unveils the window really quick, and everyone's like, ooh, amazing, so cool. And it gets a lot of attention online, and people start coming. And it's one of my favorite tropes in romance is forced proximity. So I love a project. I love forcing two people to do a project. And this becomes like the project of all projects, because Aiden has never used a power tool. Aiden has never painted before, and all of this is so novel and exciting to him. And I think there is just like, it reminds Henry why he liked it, because it's 2 years post Aunt Isla having left, and the joy is kind of leached out of it for him. And so the window displays become this like re-sparking of joy and excitement and wonder for them. And I just had a lot of fun like imagining what they could be like. I mean, I think that would be a fun job in theory. I think I'd be very bad at it. I think I'd be really, really bad at it, actually. But I think like it's interesting that people still travel from all over the world to see the Macy's window displays in New York City, that people still want that joy that comes from these very simple, free things. You could just stand outside in the cold or not the cold with a bunch of other people and kind of marvel at somebody's artistry. Like it doesn't have to be in a museum. It doesn't have to be like in a fancy art show or whatever. It's as simple as walking down the street and seeing a window display. I think about that all the time whenever I go to like a new a new independent bookstore, like any independent bookstore. They're always, if they have a front window, they're always crafting these beautiful displays and like around the season or new books, or they have an author coming, and like those are ways to like showcase your passion, showcase what you're excited about, get other people interested in things. And I just think that was like a really fun way for me to throw the two characters together, but also as a way to be like, Henry's been making art this whole time. He thinks he's not doing it because he's like, oh, it's just for the store. It's just like silly little things. But like, even just from that little passage, he put a lot of thought into that. Like, sourcing the outfits and the martini glasses and all that stuff. So, yeah.
And it's such a fun, unique thing too. Like I can't think of any other books that feature window displays and like have it be like a main part of the plot. So it's such a unique little subset of that. Yeah, you don't even think about like walking past all these window displays that people put a lot of work into, and now we think about it and we can appreciate it because I'm sure that these people would like to know that their work is appreciated. Yeah.
I also have to say that like part of the weirdest thing, so this is my no, I'm not even gonna do the math. I think it's my 8th book. But every time I end up on a research rabbit hole that is just like it's too far. Like I've gone too far, I've gone left.
Wikipedia starts going, are you sure?
Yeah. I never really knew how a mannequin was made. Like, why would I know that? And so like I started watching all these videos of people making them. How anatomically correct should they be? Should they have nipples? Should they not have nipples? Like, what is it that we need to like give the mannequin to like, get people interested in the merchandise that they're displaying? And I just found that super it was interesting and it was weird, and it was kind of led me towards something else, which was that like surrealist art, like even in the kind of like early days of it in like exhibitions and stuff, they were actually using mannequins, which was like a weird little connection that I was able to make between Henry's assemblage art and Aiden's previous form, and how like those two things actually did inspire each other, like 1912, like the people were kind of using these as like the closest replicas we had to the human body, and how could we make art out of them.
So yeah, doing a little history lesson with our romances. Okay. So I have more presents left, but I think probably have time for one more. So let me get the one at the very bottom, of course. Who wants to do the last present? I see. Yes. Yes, right. Okay. Oh, it's rolling. They're all the same like this.
And despite the silliness of being a lone man parked on the beach in late November, talking to an unknown, unseen power, I said aloud with my whole chest, I wish for the perfect man. It's the perfect man.
Oh, it's
Under your seat.
It's seashells. Okay, so this one is, what would you wish for if you were on the beach at golden hour?
Oh,
We're ending on the
sweet.
on the thinker one.
That is a thinker one. I mean, I think right now, given the state of everything, I genuinely do wish for just more compassion. I think that one of the great things about romance novels is that they're almost always predicated on characters learning how to be vulnerable and how to be open and how to listen to another person. I think there's so interesting when people are like, my favorite trope is enemies to lovers. Even though that person is holding a knife to the other person's throat, they're creating some sort of moment like in those stories. I know I'm going too far, but I'm thinking to myself, like, it's this level of like you're creating the stage for open communication, interaction, uncovering the layers of another human being. And in doing that, you are actively working on listening and understanding and supporting. And what does that look like? And and romance novels tend to focus on, romantic and sexual, relationships and love. But I think like if we took some of that compassion and love and, put it out into the world, we would be much better off as a society.
I love that. Well, that's a great note to end our little talk on. I love that.
Thanks.
And with that, perfect. We will open up to you guys. Do you have any questions? Yeah. I'm sorry. There was a corporate collab between Hellman's Mayo and what? Jennifer. Okay, so I'm repeating it for the thing. Okay, so there was a collab between Jennifer Armentrout and Hellman's Mayo over her vampire book. Oh, okay, garlic mayo. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Still, what? I cannot imagine the conversation that went on behind the scenes. Hey, Jennifer, we got an email from Hellman's Mayo. Okay. Okay. If you were to have an odd collaboration for your books, what would it be? Product placement, right? It is like the most. They're coming for books now. The product placement.
I know. We were literally.
Oh, we
yes.
hold the line.
I know. We were literally just talking about. Did anyone watch The Summer I Turned Pretty? I'm sure, right? The whole episode that was just about Michaels, inexplicably. It was hysterical. I mean, I recently moved, but before we had like a little office area that was lofted, and I would secretly watch The Summer I Turned Pretty. My partner was busy, and he'd come down and he was like, "Was that whole episode about Michaels?" And I had to be like, "Yeah." And it like didn't end. Like they just kept bringing up Michaels. So I'd say Michaels. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, that would be appropriate because, I mean, art. I mean, it's art. This is like not a corporate thing, but one of the like big scenes in the book, Henry takes Aiden to the Philadelphia Art Museum, and it's kind of this sweet moment where Aiden is having a really hard time throughout the whole book understanding what's art and what's not. He thinks like, what's art, what's not? Like they go to an estate sale and he picks up like a weird little figurine and he's like, is this art? And he's like, well, some people would say it. But then he takes him to the Philadelphia Museum of Art and he shows him like Duchamp's toilet. And he's like, that's art. And he's like, I peed in that. Right? Like that doesn't make any sense. And so like that's a conversation that they open up. And so I think it would be cool if there was like some sort of like there are actually a lot of artists who've used mannequins in their artwork. So it'd be cool if there was like an exhibition like inspired by a mannequin for Christmas at the Philadelphia Art Museum. That was like just a mannequin for Christmas. And there should be snow, fake snow coming down from the ceiling. So that's not a corporation, but it's incentivizing people to patronize a local establishment, which I support.
I love that question.
Yeah, you should. Do
It
you
was
have one?
amazing. Do I have one? Oh my
Or
god.
one of your books?
Oh my god. Okay, no, I do actually.
Perfect.
Okay, so the book I have coming out in May is a sports romance. It's the sequel to Rival Wizards. And it's about a male cheerleader is the love interest. And the cover reveal happened the same week that the Minnesota Vikings had all their PR for their two male cheerleaders. And I'm actually going to like email them and be like, would you guys blurb my book? Because like we have to. It was fate. So yeah, that would be my corporate thing. Is the Minnesota Vikings, the whole team.
I love that. And you'd be like, and now you're gonna play raw ball.
And
That's the name of the sport
yeah,
in the book.
game. And yes, there are a lot of jokes about that. Yeah,
That's
no, we make
the
a lot of
that's
jokes about football.
yes.
Yes.
Read the book; it's wonderful.
All right, any other questions from the audience? Yeah. Okay. If any of your books could, I'm repeating it for the, okay. If any of your books could be given the Hallmark movie treatment, which one would be the most fun to see on screen?
Well, oh, that's hard. Well, I think it's hard
Which one's
because
your child?
I know. Well, I know you didn't say that. I don't pick favorites. I mean, I think for some like the reason I wanted to write A Mannequin for Christmas was because I really wanted to write from the perspective of the mannequin, and I do think there would be a really fun version of a movie where we get to do Mannequin, right? But it is from the perspective of the Kim Cattrall character in this sense where it's like, the book is told in dual POV. So we have Henry and Aiden's POV, but I think a movie from Aiden's perspective purely would be a really exciting and fun thing. I also don't know why, but what popped into my head was, does anyone remember that series of dog movies where it was like from the perspective of the dog? Like a dog's purpose or something, or a dog's journey? No? Anika's like, no. There was like, it was like the dog was in the movie, but it was also like you were seeing it from the dog's perspective. Like you were thinking, it was like, yes. Oh, wait. Oh, the dog's consciousness jumped to different dogs. Oh, the dog would die and then be reborn as a new dog. Well, that is kind of I Oh, it ran home to its first owner? I don't remember this. I must have blacked it out. I have literally no idea. Okay, so it's not going to be like that, but it might be but it might be a little bit like that because I thought about it after the fact and like, there are elements of like Barbie in here and it's that little like that existential thing where like my partner read the book and he was like, a lot of this is about death. And I was like, well, if you kind of go from being an object where it's like if your head popped off, we'll just pop it right back on to being like, oh, if you get hit by a car, like that's probably curtains for you, right? Like that's it. There's this level of like Aiden kind of starts to wrestle with being like, okay, well, would it be worse to replasticize on New Year's Eve if Henry doesn't love me? Or would it be worse to live into old age and experience a lot of hurt and sorrow and grief and all these complicated human emotions? Like, so maybe it'd be a little dark Hallmark movie. But I mean, hey,
Maybe
there's got to be a
there. They
first.
do something. Yeah,
They gotta really,
a new avenue.
exactly.
Dark Christmas Hallmark movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just with a little bit of existential dread with your hot cocoa.
Any other questions? Yes.
How do you approach writing each one to keep the magic of the holiday alive, but also keep them new?
Do I need to repeat that one? Okay. Sorry, I'm just my memory me curious. Okay. Now that you've written 3 Christmas romances, how do you approach it to keep it fresh, to keep the magic alive?
Yeah. Well, I've always been a very fanatic of Christmas. Like I've been a Christmas fanatic my whole life. I was born in December. I have a very like special connection to just like December as a month. Back in high school, I would force my friends into something called Christmas Movie Fridays, where we would make cookies and we would sit down and watch a holiday. I mean, it didn't have to be a Christmas movie, but it was a holiday movie, like a winter movie. And I think there's just like there's always joy and magic and excitement to be found in those traditions and different characters and different families. And I don't think I ever approach any holiday book with the idea that I'm like, it's the holiday first and everything else second. It's these characters and what is the story that I want to tell. I also think that like keeping it fresh is diversifying a little bit. So it's like next year I have a Halloween book coming out. So I'll get to do a different holiday and explore the magic. See, I told you I did not like Halloween. I told you. Although my editor was like, could there be more Halloween? And I was like, yeah, yeah, sure. There could be more Halloween if you want. So I just think that like every holiday and every family and every character is so unique and their traditions are different and how they feel about the holiday is different. So I wrote You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince, which is this character is kind of like lost the luster of Christmas and needs to refind it in a small town. The Merriest Misters was, I mean, that story was mostly about these two characters refining their love for each other, not necessarily the holiday. And so I think even just then approaching A Mannequin for Christmas was a lot about giving Aiden the sparkliest playground possible to like fall in love with being human because I don't know. I mean, I guess it's cliche to say, but people do tend to offer a little bit more courtesy, a little bit more kindness. There's a little bit more, the days get shorter and people tend to, they want to lend a hand. And so I wanted Aiden to experience that humanity first. So I guess Christmas was kind of like the wrapping paper around the story I wanted to tell.
Love that. Yeah, it was definitely the perfect setting for Aiden to experience being a person because, yeah, like the best parts of the year happen around that time. Yeah.
And I mean, and in his case, I mean, he comes, as the back cover says, you know, like he comes with a caveat that if he doesn't experience true human love before the midnight chime on New Year's Eve, it's mannequin forever. And that is I'm extrapolating here, but sometimes it feels that way as a person, like that you're under this crunch time, that like you have to pack so much into these 4 weeks and you have to see everybody and every gift has to be perfect and whatever. It was fun to just like raise the stakes on that to 100, be like, well, you might not be a human anymore. You know, so he really wants that midnight kiss, and for a reason, you know, because it's maybe sealing a future for him that he might not have gotten otherwise.
I'll wrapped up New Year's in there too, because I feel like New Year's always gets kind of set aside into like along with Thanksgiving too. Like Thanksgiving and New Year's, they can team up and be sad together. That they always get forgotten, but it's got the same kind of vibes, right? The kiss
Yes.
on New Year's and the kiss on Christmas. Yeah,
You have a whole series of holiday royal books, so you have to do a book. Like
Yeah.
you should do a breakfast club of the forgotten holidays,
they team up and they just get sad together.
or they're like kind of like a
Plotting
they're like a
together.
Suicide Squad kind of deal. Yeah, they really just kind of like into the other holidays. But I was gonna say too that like this book starts immediately after Thanksgiving. They're eating Thanksgiving leftovers, and then it goes into the future after New Year's Eve too. But I wanted to include them because I feel like a lot of, like, you're right, a lot of holiday stories don't include those holidays, and also to the effect that like they bookend an entire season in a way. And I love at the end of When Harry Met Sally, like, you know, when it's New Year's and people like, I just feel like, how do we recapture that kind of joy and magic? And the story even goes on beyond that, you know, to other holiday seasons. But I just thought it was a fun way to explore new challenges.
Okay. See. All right. Any other questions? Yes. Sorry, I can't see, but I see your hand. Yes. Hi.
So, Timothy Janovsky author has a window display. What does that look like?
Okay. So Timothy Janovsky author window display. What does that look like?
Oh my gosh, I already said I'd be bad at it. Because my taste is like TJ Maxx, you know what I mean? I'm like in the home goods section of TJ Maxx. I'm like, oh, does it have words on it? I think I one time picked up a blanket in a store that I like showed to my partner, and I was like, is it ugly or is it fun? And he's like, I guess it's both. And I was like, we're getting it. And when I describe this blanket to you, it's like snowmen, but they're wearing like really gay rainbow scarves.
Fabulous.
And they're like,
already.
hey, like it's really just like so like it's like what, nobody needed it. Like, no, but nobody needed it. Everybody needs it. You're right. Everybody needs it. If I were to create a window display as an author, I feel like, oh, I guess it's cliche to say, but I love book trees. I love them. I love people who are creative enough and architecturally sound enough to make stuff like that. I was not a Lego child, so I don't know the skills of how to stack things correctly. I was always really envious of kids too, like in high school, who can make like a house of cards.
Talking the book tree where they're open and they're like the pages fan out, or like when they're like stacked flat.
When they're like stacked and wait, what does it look like? Oh, you just mean
like the pages are like, I can't even describe it. Where they, yeah, or like the pages open on the book and like they stack the books so it looks like the edges of the pages are the. There's so many different types of book trees. That's why I was like,
let's do both.
Crazy though. Like,
see, that's the wrong answer, right? A person good at window displays would say we should probably do one or the other.
I think
let's do both.
Opinion on these
Let's do both. But I also think that like what I've noticed, so this is my 8th published novel, but I've written more after that. And what I've noticed is that there are like similar themes and allusions that come up in the stories that I write. And I tend to always come back to 2 things, which are like the Scrooge arc in A Christmas Carol. So I would definitely include allusions to that. And then the other one is I'm always writing journeys like The Wizard of Oz, because it's like these characters going in search of something that was inside themselves the whole time.
You'd have Jonathan Bailey in your window.
I'd have Jonathan Bailey in my trapped. Just like steel bars, like draw it's not a window display anymore. I've drawn the curtains. It's like, so sorry, one night only. Exactly. And now it's now it's not family friendly anymore. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't sell many products, but it would
sell a lot of
Thank you, Sarah. That's my window display.
Okay. Do we have any other question?
Audiobook that you employ these two narrators. Do you have any? Well, first of all, if you can tell us who they are, and then do you have any input in that at all, or is that just something happens through the publisher?
Yeah. So who are your narrators and do you have input in that or is that something the publisher orchestrates?
Yeah. So the narrators of A Mannequin for Christmas are Mark Sanderlin and Lee Asario. Mark, yes. Okay. So Vanessa, he did your audiobook as well, and which I listened to, so wonderful. Mark Sanderlin is a narrator who has actually done all but one of my books up until this point. Because the first, my debut novel, Never Been Kissed, when it came out, the publisher offered me 3 auditions, and they said, these are the 3 we've narrowed it down to. Like, we'd like your input. Like, we'll pretty much take whoever you choose from here. And when I heard Mark's voice, I thought to myself, I was like, this person completely understands my sense of humor. This is a person who has kind of the rhythm and cadence that I naturally think and speak in, to the point that I had friends like from college that I hadn't seen in a while who'd listened to an audiobook and been like, I kind of thought it was you for a second before I like looked, because he just kind of has a natural register there. And so he's followed me through because I was just like, oh, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? Don't fix it. And Mark is just like, and has become a wonderful friend and a great partner in promoting the books. And then Lee Asario was an audition for the character of Aiden in this book. And I worked with the audiobook producer who was like, what characteristics are important to you that come through in this character? And so I sent her a video of Ted from Schitt's Creek. It was just a supercut of him saying things. And I said, he has to have this natural optimism, this exuberance. It has to be like childlike but not childish, right? Like a childlike wonder but not childish. And Lee's audiobook similarly, so Vanessa has a wonderful book called When the Tides Held the Moon, where Lee, it's an excellent book, and Lee voices a merman in that book. And I kind of think I heard them around the same time, but I also like I remember feeling like this is a person who can inhabit almost like a different plane of like a voice that carries a gravitas that doesn't necessarily exist in the human realm. And so I was even like, I listened to his audition and I just was like, oh, that's definitely our Aiden. And so I was listening to a little bit of it on my commute here, and there's a part in here where he meets a mall Santa Claus, and so he goes from the Aiden voice, which is like this kind of like floaty, wonderful, like really excitable, to the deep growl. Like I was like, that's Santa. Like, and it just was just really like a really cool thing. And what I love most about audiobooks is that like it's it's almost like it's not your work anymore. I don't know if you feel that way. It's an adaptation of it. And as someone who like studied theater and thought at one point he might be an actor, like it's cool to hear people turn something that I only heard in my head into something that exists in a completely different realm.
It's also fun when they take a sentence that you kind of does like maybe a throwaway sentence you're thinking about it and they like put an inflection on it that like makes you like, I wrote that? Damn. Like they reinvented in a way. It feels so fresh. It's really interesting.
Do you ever forget that you wrote it?
Absolutely.
All the time. Yeah. I love that.
Spark of like a really talented voice actor is when you forget that you're like that this is something you created. You just get that into it because they're really good at just capturing it.
Yeah, it's a really fun process, and I definitely if you read this book, I definitely recommend listening to the audio because it just brings a certain magic to the story that I think you get on the page as well. But I think it's just like a different experience. It's a fun and unique medium.
Are we playing the outro music? One more question. Make it good. No pressure.
Should it be one more?
One more gift?
Should it be one more gift?
Oh my gosh, pressure on it now. Okay. Hang on, let me find.
Like, the final.
Okay, yeah, let me make sure this is the one. Okay, yes, here, you open this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Whoop, 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 whoop. So sorry. Wow, you really did.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. Piece of paper length.
You
I
did
swear.
origami. Did you ever have an origami phase?
No, I was not an origami person.
Okay. My nervousness transformed into excitement, especially when Aiden came out of the dressing room looking rugged for our cabin scene in light wash jeans and tan boots.
So this was about the fashion in the book. And I had to get a Barbie thing. It's a little
Barbie magnet set. Now, I have to tell you, Sarah, that I think when it comes time to promote a book, you talk to a publicist, right? And they start saying like, we're gonna pitch media outlets and you're gonna do things like, what do you want to do? Oh, this outlet says they want you to write a guest post. What do you want to write about? And the first thing I said was like, I want to write about all the things that, like inspired me, all the media or whatever. And I kind of got into my feels as I started doing that because I have this like unapologetically gay, very pink, very like just joyous and exuberant book out in the world. And I always felt a lot of like guilt and shame as a child because I lived in the era of the like bifurcated Toys R Us where one
Pink
side
and
was
blue.
pink and one side was
Yeah.
blue. And I always wanted to go to the pink. I wanted the toys on the pink side. And I knew just by looking at the wall that I like wasn't supposed to want that stuff, or I was being told I shouldn't want that stuff. And so this just really makes me feel, this really heals my inner child. Sarah has healed my inner child.
Seriously, I got it and I was like, damn, I'm getting over for myself. It's just fun, right? Well, you had one of the pre-order things was the paper
Paper
dolls.
dolls.
Paper dolls. Oh
Yeah.
my God, paper dolls were the jam when I was a kid. Like, that's just dating ourselves. But like, oh my God, just something so fun about like playing dress up with little like toys. I don't know.
I love it. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this when I get home. Well, thank you, Sarah. This has been really so much fun. And thank you to East City Bookshop. And thank you all so much for coming and everybody online.
Take this. Thank you. Another round of applause for a wonderful conversation. Oh. Well, we are going to very quickly reset the space. I'm going to send the two of them back here in a moment. In just a moment, not yet, we will ask you if you're willing and able to set your chairs to the side, please do so. We will set the signing line up here, but start it kind of in this little doorway that's right there. If you want to start it going back that way. If you need to purchase copies of tonight's book, they're upstairs. And thank you all for joining us tonight, and happy holidays.